our hydroponics. Actually, this is the horticultural center for the Ark and the Creation Museum.
It is.
So you can see some of the greenhouses behind. You can't see all of them. You can see some of them. We're going to go for a bit of a tour through them. We're going to show you, actually we're going to show you a really unique plant. I'm not sure how many places in Kentucky do you think would have an Australian bottle tree?
I don't think any.
I don't think any, and it's really incredible. My wife started looking after it, 20-something years ago.
Your stick tree.
And it was called a stick tree. You wait till you see it. But anyway, that's going to be a treat for you. We're going to go into where the tropicals are.
Yes.
And so they're ready to be planted out. But anyway, let's head in on here first of all, because we actually grow some food in here for some of the zoo animals.
We do.
And so I'm going to let Tim is head of horticulture and looks after all of this at the Ark Encounter, does a lot more too, looking after certain aspects of construction and so on. But let's go in here and he can explain to us what's happening in here.
Yeah, so this is our fodder house, and in here we are growing all of our greens for our zoo animals. For right now, we're limiting it to just half of what we usually grow because a lot of the zoo animals are out on pasture since they're not on exhibit. So this is all hydroponic growing. This is barley, and you can see the root mass there. There's no soil whatsoever. So what we start off with is about 6 pounds of barley seed per tray.
This is the barley seed in here?
This is the barley seed here. This is just probably the first day. It's soaked overnight, and then it starts growing on. So here's some in different stages of growth. We can go from 6 pounds of barley seed to 60 pounds of barley fodder for the animals, and it takes about 6 to 8 days, depending on how warm it is. It actually grows better in the cooler season, but this is right around 7 days. And so the zoo folks will come and they'll take this out. Almost all of the zoo animals eat this, and right now they're taking about 3 trays a day.
So is this the only food you grow for the zoo, or are you going to be doing
No, we
more?
also grow a few other items. We grow some greens for some of the reptiles, and right now we've scaled that back quite a bit as well. We have some great plans for the future for the zoo nutrition house, and that is almost tripling the size of the fodder house, and it's going to go in a new location. We've got that area panned out. It's going to be quite interesting. We're going to have a GAT system, almost a geothermal, where we're going to bring the temperature of the soil up into the house, which will help with our heating and cooling of the house. We'll be doing some hydroponics. We'll also be doing some aquaponics, where it's kind of an enclosed system where we have fish. You feed the fish fertilize the water. Basically, the water runs through trays of plants, and that's filtered out, and then that water recycles. So we're really looking forward to doing that, and we're hoping to start on that sometime this summer to get that constructed.
So our zoo animals really get looked after, don't they?
They really, really do.
They get pampered. They like this when we feed them this?
They love it. There's a lot of moisture content. There's a lot of high nutrition in it as well. It's also, Leanne really likes it for enrichment. So a lot of the animals don't have a pasture on exhibit. Because the exhibits are small, and if you have turf in there, it creates problems. So this gives them ability to pick and pull plants, and it's quite an enrichment.
We do have pastures we let some of the animals out into.
We do, and we created some pastures as well. At this time, while the animals are off exhibit, we've just created some new pastures for them to be on.
So, okay, well, we'll come out of this area, Tim, and let's go down and look at some of the other areas we have here. There's a number of greenhouses, and as you said, we're adding some more down here.
Yeah, so right now we have 8 greenhouses and 1 cold frame. So all the houses right now are filled with little plants. We have about 10,000 plugs or seeds that we started. Some seeds that we started, some plugs that we purchased.
Like over in this one?
Like you'll see on this one, these were planted up about a week ago. There's probably around 3,000, 3,500 roughly in there. These are all our summer annuals. All the houses will be filled. And then we'll have this house over here, which is just a week longer, further along than that house. So this is our summer stock. For us, we start planting right around Mother's Day. So if we were open now, people would be touring around the Ark, and they'd see a lot of flowers, and that's our pansies. And our pansies for us are hardy, so we plant them in the fall.
So how long do they last?
They last from us for September, and then they come right back after winter. Mm-hmm. Right now they're in full bloom. They look beautiful.
And there's no one here to see them.
There's no one here to see them. It's such a shame.
We need to get President Trump to open up the country again.
Yes, we do. So then around Mother's Day, we pull all of those pansies out and we replace them with our summer stock. Now these are just about a week and a half to 2 weeks along from small plugs.
Well, this is nice and warm in here.
It is toasty in here. They do like it warm. Kim is our director of horticulture and our main grower, and so the plant varieties in here take a little bit longer to grow than others. So they were the first ones to be put in and heated. And
so when do these get planted out?
So this is right around Mother's Day. So in another 2 weeks, all of these have to be kind of separated because they're going to get larger. And they'll be coming through and pulling the flowers off because we want all the growth to go into the plant and not into the flower. So they'll come through and start picking them and cleaning them off and getting them ready.
A few years ago, you went to Australia with us.
Yes.
And you saw over there some plants that are weeds and menaces. You people over here think are wonderful ornamental plants.
That's true. So a weed is there's a lot of definitions for weed, but for us it's a non-desirable plant in a desirable location. So you can have, one of our favorite plants to use in the summer here is a Mexican petunia. Well, down south it's a noxious weed for them. Fortunately for us, they're not invasive because we get cold in the winter. So this house is full of some Egyptian reed grass and some cleomes and coleus, a lot of different varieties in here. I think we'll probably be well over 30 varieties of different annuals. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot more color out of these.
So hopefully when these get planted, there will be people here to see them.
We hope so.
So we'll go down.
Yeah, we're going to head down the hill to the two larger houses. We have a cold frame as well as two large houses.
Now the new greenhouse you want to put up to be able to grow more food for the animals and so on, where was that going to go?
That one is going down here on the right-hand side of the road.
Okay.
So we actually have to excavate about 6 to 8 feet down to set our pipes for our geothermal. And this is the best spot to do it since it's already on a slant, and then we'll just start filling it back up.
And you were ready to start moving on that, and
yeah, and then things got shut
down, and
yes,
and you still need some money for that greenhouse, don't you?
We still do, yes. So this house on the left, this is a cold frame or a Quonset hut. So plants in here are hardy plants that don't require any heating to get through the winter. Some of these are propagated plants that we did, a lot of ornamental grasses that we propagate just by division, some hibiscus. And then we have a mass of boxwood and hydrangeas that were actually donated to us by a local nursery. So they just stay in here. You can see the plastic was just cut open a little bit, and that the plastic comes off here in just another couple weeks as the weather gets a little warmer. And then we'll head down to Ken's favorite houses.
Oh, the tropicals.
The tropicals.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Ken?
Reminds me of Australia.
Let's go to the rainbow poles over on the left side
okay,
first.
this is for the rainbow gardens. Just sort of, well, behind the Ark, and between the Ark and part of the zoo, we have the rainbow gardens. And you actually grow in pots a series of plants, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
That's right.
For these flowers that hang down and are the colors of the rainbow.
Right. So it turned out really, really neat. Last year we finally had a really good long full growing season for them. And one of the ways we get a head start is we start them off in March, late March, and we just constructed.
My glasses are all fogged
Yeah,
up.
they'll do that. This will be a very warm house. So you can see on the side walls here. This will be phenomenal before we take them out because they're going to be completely full. So these are the baskets, the rainbow baskets. This one in particular is blue. You can see the blue lime grass. This one is orange. It has some calibrachoa and a lot of different things. So we fabricated this system to hold all of these pots, and it's fantastic. Last year we had them all on the ground. It took up the entire greenhouse. So we came up and built this system to hold all of these. So it's going to be phenomenal to see these growing. Again, these were just planted a little over a week ago, so they're just now getting started.
And for those that were at the Ark last year, they would have seen these baskets with beautiful plants hanging down.
Yes,
and the colors.
The colors of the rainbow.
So they're just coming now.
Yeah, so we're just now starting them, and then by the time we take them out to put them in their place, they will be overgrowing over the pots. You won't even be able to see the pots. And then we drop them right into their baskets. It's going to be phenomenal to see this wall in color in just a few weeks. So that's one of the things we do. The baskets that are hanging actually look like hanging baskets, but these are what we call our lollipop trees. So these actually will spill out, and there'll be one big large mound, and they sit on a 4x4 post. And so where they look
and
like
that's in the rainbow gardens
too. That's in the rainbow gardens as well.
I know, those rainbow gardens, when you get all these plants out there, they're just beautiful.
It's quite
So
colorful.
when will you start doing that?
We usually go sometime around Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is generally our frost-free date, but you just never know.
Right.
So we look at the week before and the week after, somewhere in that 3-week period of when we're going to put them out. Most of these plants don't like cool weather at all, so if you stick them out too early, it's not that it's going to kill them, but they just kind of get stunted. So
and with what you do here and the way you obtain these plants and then get them ready to plant out, it saves the ministry a lot of money, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and then we get to pick exactly the varieties that we want, and we're growing them to the size we want, and we're able to again propagate some plants that aren't patented. We can propagate those that we're going to use. And a lot of the tropicals we do, the grass there is a Mexican feather grass. That's one of our favorites to put out with our topiary lions. So we have all of these topiaries, and they aren't living topiaries, but they're They're framed, and then we put moss inside of them. And then Buddy Davis is working on some new ones.
Right,
that are just
he's
phenomenal.
the ones Buddy has done. I'm just excited by it.
I'm really excited about getting those in.
He's got moose and deer.
He's got moose, bear, and kudu. His latest one was a kudu with you had the big horns coming off of it.
Kangaroos.
And kangaroos, that's right. He also did kangaroos. So those will be coming to us soon. Unfortunately, the moss that we use, you can't get that until late spring because it's too wet to get into the field. So we'll probably get our moss around June, and then we'll start filling those. But we're excited to put those out on display. So they'll go along with our elephants and our giraffes and camels and lions.
So we're going to head over.
Yeah, we're going to head over to the Australian side of things.
To the Australian side of things.
Yes.
Okay.
So again, this is the plant I was talking about before that folks down south don't like. This is Mexican petunia. It's a great plant for us. Again, this is one that we keep usually maybe 2 or 3 what we call mother plants. And then
down south, that's a weed.
That's a weed down south for a lot of people. But we'll keep 2 or 3 mother plants, and then we take cuttings off of that. So I don't know how many she grows each year. I'd say probably close to 600 to 700. That cost us nothing, so we're just propagating them. Watch your step here. So on the left, this is our tropical side of the house. These are all propagated different types of elephant ears. This is Gigantea. We have some pink china, some coffee cups, bikini teeny. We have a purple gecko there. Pink china, again, is this one. It's a really nice one, and Big Dipper. So all of these are actually hardy for us. We can actually leave these in the ground and just mulch them over. So some of our tropicals we're able to do that with, and we're fortunate to have a hybridizer down in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Brian's Botanicals, and he does an amazing job of growing tropicals and hybridizing them, making them a little bit hardier. So we've pulled a lot of plants from him.
So you can just cover them in mulch?
Yeah, we just cover them with mulch. So like our bananas at the museum, they
Right.
get 20 foot tall every year.
Yeah.
They've been in the ground for 12 years, and they just keep
Amazing.
coming back.
So that's why we can have a rainforest area at the museum.
That's exactly right. By utilizing tropicals that are hardy, just by adding a little mulch and cutting them back. But these are great. Most of these will get up to that 6 to 8 foot height every year. Very
so
easy
some of
to
these
grow.
going in the Q-line gardens, or
Some of them will go in the Q-line gardens. Some of them will put in with our annual beds because our annual beds are so big.
Okay.
They just help eat up the space. Most of the Q-line garden is just like the ones at the museum. We've mulched them over, and
Right. They come back.
interesting with that though is it's kind of its own microclimate. So in the winter, the Q-line garden gets no sun. So the plants that are in there are 3 weeks later coming than the plants that are in
is that
full
right?
sun. So our bananas are already 2 foot high, except in the Q-line they're just barely peeking out.
Isn't that interesting?
So we do lose some plants in there because that soil stays cold a little bit longer. And then we have a lot of palms in here as well. We have some Majesty palms, some Chinese fantail, some spindle palms, Phoenix palms, and all of these go out either in large pots like in front of the Answer Center, or they'll go into the landscape beds. So none of these are hardy. We have to bring all those in.
And once you get all the plants out, I mean, the place is just beautiful.
It really is.
Compared to when we first opened, when it was bare rock.
Yes. Yeah, that's all we have. So that brings up a really good point as far as what we have to plant in. I always tell people when I'm doing tours out around the gardens that if they look at the bottom of the door where the cross is on the ark, that's where the original grade of ground was.
Right.
So we cut about 28 feet off of that ridge top. If you remember,
Yep.
well, I mean, that was just a very small little knoll.
Yep.
So there is no dirt left. So every time
It's
we go to
rock.
plant, it's solid rock.
So you have to, dig down,
We dig down 3 to 4 feet of solid
take
rock,
out the rock.
and we bring in about 5 feet of dirt. So every planting basically is a giant pot because there's no soil whatsoever.
Amazing.
But the nice thing is we get to put in the soil that we want, and plants really grow well.
And one of the things we want to do is, as this has become established, we want to be able to do some behind-the-scenes tours of the Horticultural Centre and other places too.
Right.
I do with the Ark, because it's really quite a sophisticated setup when you look at what we do.
It's quite an operation, and Kim and Tina and Joe that are working here right now on all of this, trying to keep it going. We're on bare bones as far as staff goes, they've got a lot to do, and they're doing
through the whole ministry right now.
Absolutely.
So we're just ticking along.
Yeah,
and you want to get that other greenhouse built. So
we do.
How much do you need to finish that?
It's around $15,000 to finish.
So you've got half the money.
We've got half of it. Yeah,
so you need another 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone really into plants, actually, you know what?
Well, it's part for the zoo as well. So it's because the zoo is expanding.
Right.
Right. We're also responsible
we need extra plants
for the zoo expansion. We need extra plants.
Actually, there's been people over the years who they've just loved plants, loves that part of God's creation, and they're the ones that are donated to enable all this to happen.
Well, yeah. So if you saw the names on the greenhouses, they're all named Sheila.
Yeah.
From a dear friend, a supporter of the ministry, Sheila, and when she worked with us at the Creation Museum. Remember early on, and she loved to volunteer and help in all the gardens. Then she funded the koi pond.
Yep.
And she wanted to be a part of that, and she paid for a lot of the equipment that they're still using there. And then sadly she passed, and she did leave funds for growing operations. We always talked about growing plants ourselves, and so she left some funds for that, so we were able to build our shop and 2 houses, and so all our houses are named Sheila.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to donate $15,000 so we can get the rest of the money we need for that next greenhouse, Tim will give you a personal tour of the whole place.
I absolutely will. It'd be fantastic.
He promises. He'll give you a personal tour of the whole place, and we'll bring you in free and give you a tour of everything. Yeah, how's that?
That's great.
There's an offer for people.
There you go.
Now, my special tree.
Ken's special tree.
Well, I should say my wife's special tree, right? Because she looked after it.
So look how big that is.
That is
compared to...
Wow. That is really... It's starting to now look like an Australian bottle tree.
It is. So
I mean, if people go on Google and type in, photograph Australian bottle tree, you'll see that they grow very thick trunks and look like an actual bottle, and you can see how this is just starting to shape up.
So tell us the story, how we come about getting this tree.
Well, what happened was somebody somehow obtained somewhere from America. They sent me this stick in the mail. I mean, when I say stick, it wasn't even the diameter of my finger, right? It was thinner than that. And they said, we're able to get this Australian bottle tree for you because, we know you're Australian, this is something you'd like, and because we grew up with Australian bottle trees. And looked at that stick, and so my wife put it in a pot, and, it actually grew some leaves and that. And then she started to look after it, and we had it in a pot at home, and then we would have to put it out every time spring came along, and it would grow some leaves and things, and then we'd have to bring it back in for the winter. Then it would lose its leaves, and we brought it back in the house. Then it would grow leaves again. She looked after that thing for she wanted to throw it out so many times. No, I shouldn't say that. But she called it.
That's a lot of work.
And I said, no, it's a bottle tree. You've got to keep it. It's a bottle tree. And so she potted it and then repotted it and so on. And she called it her stick tree because it just looked like a stick for years. That's all it looked like, a stick that grew a few leaves. And then it started to grow more and more, and finally got to the stage she said, we can't keep it in the house. It's too big. It needs potting in a bigger pot.
Yeah.
And so we came to Tim and gave it to you for the Ark. And when one of the horticulturalists who's under you found out this is Ken Ham's tree...
This tree gets special treatment.
They were absolutely petrified it would die.
Well, yeah, the first time we brought it in, and it defoliated quickly after we moved it. But it's just the cycle. That's what it does. We brought this one in, so we bring it in and take it out every year.
So come over here and show us the size of that. Put your hand around it there so we can see.
This is really, this is so much bigger than when you first brought it to us.
See, when you look at that, that's what it looked like. A little stick
Just
like that
stick.
when we first got it. Just like one of those branches there. A stick that we put in a little pot. That was about it. Now look at it. So
yeah, it's getting quite large.
I remember when my wife repotted it once, she was amazed that the root was like enormous. Some great big thick root.
Yes, and not a lot of little ones, which is...
Just a massive big root.
Right, it's just one big root. So this has gotten so big, we've put it in a larger pot. One of our fabricators created this cage to put around it. this big steel cage. This is how we move it. So when you're here, you have to find the stick tree. I'll give you a hint. It'll be in the queue line garden once it's warm. And get your picture taken next to Ken's stick tree. But it is done really, really well. And we're always excited to get that and take
you
it
bury
out.
it in the ground, so it looks like it's growing there, but it's
Yes,
actually in a pot.
That's right. So you don't even know it. It looks like it's been there. So we actually cut a opening in the fence so we can drive in and drop that tree. And then, like I said, it'll be going out in just a few more weeks.
That is
probably 3 to 4
amazing.
weeks.
So I'm going to, Tim, why don't you jump up there against the tree? I'm going to get you a photograph of that tree.
Yeah, because Mally
And
probably hasn't
I'll
seen
take it
this
back
for
and
a
show
while.
my wife. She'll be so thrilled to see her tree that she looked after for so long. Well, there you are, an Australian bottle tree. Where else can you see an Australian bottle tree except at the Ark Encounter?
That's right.
And don't forget my offer. If someone can donate $15,000 to the ministry to finish the greenhouse out there, we got 15. We just need the other 15 to finish it. Tim will give you a tour like you wouldn't believe of the whole place.
I won't even
And
make
even the
them pull
museum
weeds or
gardens.
nothing.
You do the museum gardens, the museum.
Yes, we'll do a tour
and
of both
the Ark
sites.
and the horticultural center. There you are. There's a special offer for you. So, wow. Well, thanks, Tim. This has really been great. You guys are visionaries in what you do, and you want to glorify our Creator God with talents He's given you, the experience He's given you. You've been with the museum ever since the beginning. I remember you digging those waterfalls and producing the waterfalls of the
That's
Ark.
right.
We'll have to do a behind-the-scenes tour of the museum gardens and talk about how those waterfalls were built, and people might be amazed at how all that operates
And
too.
we have some fantastic plans for that site as well.
Yeah, for the future. Exactly. So there we are. The gardens, actually the gardens at the Creation Museum were written up in a Kentucky magazine a few years ago as one of the best gardens in the whole of Kentucky.
They are spectacular. They're coming into age. They've been in, I guess we started about 15 years ago, starting planting some of them. So you're starting to get that middle growth canopy effect. That's the one thing with gardening. It takes a while to get that final picture that you're looking for. So they are really coming along. The team over there do a fantastic job.
And I remember you live not far from the Creation Museum.
That's right.
And you came and saw us and said you wanted to use your talents for the Lord.
That's right.
And the Lord brought you along, and look what's happened.
Yes. As a matter of fact, my wife's house was right where the parking lot is, where she grew up.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
That is amazing.
The little lake there was Fond Fishing Hole, that was.
Yes. Well, I'll be. Well, there you are. It's been great having Tim with us today and visiting the Horticultural Center here at the Ark Encounter. We'll give you some more behind-the-scenes tours of the gardens, and there's somebody out there who wants the VIP behind-the-scenes tour with Tim here. They're going to help build the rest of that greenhouse.
It'd be my pleasure to show them.
So there you are. Thanks for joining us.